Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I'm Andy Signore. We are live and we found something crazy. I was here to report on the fact that the real life Martha attacked me, but then she went and privated the friggin' post and stupid me didn't screenshot it. I have a little bit of like the beginning of it and we're going to talk about it, but I'm annoyed because this woman to me is not only crazy, I think she is, I think she's a jerk. As Lewis was just saying with me, I don't like this person. I don't think she gets to play victim in this because it's not just about Richard Gadd. It's about several people that have now come forward and acknowledged and proved that she stalked and threatened them. This is a consistency. There's a consistency to this. This is her. And so look, at the end of the day, like, does she have issues? Probably. Sure seems that way. And I wish her the best. I hope she gets help. We shouldn't be putting her out there, but she put herself out there. This idea that Piers Morgan is to blame is asinine. You went on Piers Morgan. You know he's a big deal. You knew people were going to watch. She's out there on Twitter trying to say, oh, well, here it is. This idea that she didn't have any media training, which is valid. If I have mental issues like the world painted me, why are you so-called sane people buying into the media and Netflix exploiting vulnerable people who have no media training? Never been in front of a studio camera in my life. Why are so many people profiting off of me? You want the money! So it's absolutely sickening. You made a bad deal. You accepted $300 and you should have gone around and asked more. That's a fair point. But, you know, you still agreed. You signed a release form. You're supposedly a lawyer. You notice, Lewis, how she's a lawyer when it suits her, but then when it doesn't, I'm a victim who doesn't know how to do contracts. Which is it, lady? You're all over the place because I do believe you're a liar. Yeah, we're the same. It's sickening how you so-called normal sane people are enabling the circus. The irony is you labeled me the mental one. Shame on you, your parents, and how you was raised, because only mentally ill people will entertain this and profit off of me. It's true what they say. Most people these days have no education. Kids are raised by TikTok and all fitting parents who allow their kids to watch anything. Dude, she's turned into Meghan and Harry. Wait, dude, Fiona, it's time you take some damn responsibility. I'm done with it. I'm done with it. And look, let me say and be clear, Lewis, like I said in the beginning of the stream, if Netflix lied and you weren't arrested and you didn't send those emails and you didn't abuse that girlfriend of his, these are all very easy things to prove. Very easy things to prove. So come forward. Let's see discovery. She says she is going to sue Netflix for $11 million. She'll be updating us soon. Great. When you do that and you fight in court and win, I will eat my hat. Okay? Everyone, I'm saying it. I like this hat, but I'll find a hat to eat, okay? Because I only have a couple of these, Lewis. But I will find a hat. I don't know if I can eat the whole hat, but I will eat a piece of hat, okay? I think that's enough. Fiona, I will eat a piece of my hat if you prove in a court that Netflix defamed you. I will absolutely do it. Lewis, will you join me on that bit? Will you eat a piece of your hat as well?
If it's made out of cake, yeah, I will.
No, I'm going to commit. I'm going to eat a real piece of hat. I will do it for the sake, and Lewis will have a hat-shaped cake. But that's how strongly I feel in this. And look, I would love to be proved wrong. I would love to be proved wrong. Please do it. If Netflix is really that wrong, then yes, take them to court, open the discovery, make them forced to prove that it's true, and we'll go from there. Now, I had this debate on Piers Morgan. They invited me back, Lewis. It was pretty fun. We're going to try and watch the whole thing later during the live, but I want to give you just a little taste, and I want to inspire you all to go check it out and leave some comments telling them to bring me back, because I have fun on this show. It's fun. But I was sitting on this panel and all these guys were so agreeable, I had to mix it up.
This is a media release on behalf of Fiona Harvey. The media firestorm around baby reindeer and my rapid identification as the real Martha have caused untold damage to my health.
I think this raises some really serious questions for Netflix. They have willfully ignored questions from journalists.
The accusation that somebody is a convicted felon, that is defamation.
Her entire agency was completely taken away from her, and I think she was propelled into a situation.
It's not a clear-cut case, as some of these stalker cases tend to be. It's all a bit messy.
Just because somebody is troubled does not mean you get to accuse them of being a criminal.
The burden is on the person who's made the allegation to prove the substantial truth in it.
I'll say it if you're all afraid to. Martha's crazy. But if we're going to believe what Richard said about himself, you got to believe what he's saying about Martha. There's a lot of selective reasoning going on in this show specifically, and that's what was sort of bugging me. And I'm not going to show you the whole show. I implore you to go there because it took about 16 minutes for me to get there, but I will recap for that. And I implore you to go watch it so you can actually see it in full there. Go watch the beginning. But he finally then comes to me, but you got to understand I was last. He went through all 4 people who are piling on and explained that, you know, in a way, Martha is the victim. And I'm sitting there, and even Piers was starting to turn and Richard Gadd into the enemy, how he was mentally ill, and how dare he sort of paint this picture, yada, yada, yada. And I'm just sitting here like, what are we talking about? We're censoring this true story and art? Like, for what? If this woman did it, shame on her. What the hell are we talking about? So I was sitting there stewing in a way, waiting for it, and I just was like, this is so too agreeable for me. I had to bring some fire. So here's Piers bringing me up in the conversation.
Andy here. Andy, as a pop culture phenomenon, I've not seen anything like this for a very long time. And I've been at the forefront of pop culture, from tabloid newspapers to, you know, doing big talent shows, all this kind of thing. This has been quite extraordinary. We've had nearly 13 million people have watched this interview that I did on our YouTube channel. Obviously,
he's, by the way, congrats, but I love how he keeps reminding everybody of how big a hit it was. It was.
See, 25 to 30 million people around the world have watched the series itself. We have one clip from our interview on TikTok, on our TikTok channel, which has had 27 million people watch it. And I've been struck just by the volume of people, some very famous people, some of the most famous people in Hollywood have been messaging me about this, wanting to know the truth.
I mean, so he's about to ask me, how is this crazy? How big? And I'm just like, I'm pivoting I'm not here to like, just tell him how big of a thing is. Of course it's big, but the bigger issue being that the bigger debate that was here is Fiona the victim, is what I was hearing.
What do you make of it as a pop culture phenomenon?
Look, it's undeniably huge. I mean, but in listening to everybody, I'm a little just shocked. I guess I'll be the different voice here because I'll say it if you're all afraid to. Martha's crazy. Martha's legitimate. He laughed. I got a laugh out of him. Do you see that? He's like, he's like, all right, here we go. Really crazy, I think. And look, I'm more comfortable to say it now, Piers, because since our last appearance, thank you for having me back. She called me a total moron in her Facebook post. We can go after Richard Gadd all day long, and there's valid reasons. He was very honest, I think. But if we're going to believe what Richard said about himself, we've got to believe what he's saying about Martha. And look, I think Martha is a mess. And I also think Martha put herself out in this situation to say, oh, poor Martha. I'm not feeling it as more and more comes out.
But crazy. Okay, but Andy, I think it's a perfectly.
I love it. Now I'm like, but wait, Andy, I gotta fight you, Piers. Lewis, I'm on Piers Morgan Uncensored in the ring. Boom, 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 boom. I loved it. I was like, oh, bring it. Bring it, baby. Isn't this is good?
Valid point to make. And certainly if you read the emails she sent to people like Keir Starmer and others, that is not the work of somebody you would think is completely of rational thought. However, being a bit crazy or even being a troll doesn't make you a criminal. And from a legal perspective,
I was just going to say, if I could jump in for 1 second.
Yeah.
Oh, gee, you got to be like the lady from last week, Mark Garagos.
Mark Garagos again.
Michael Jackson fired him. Oh, he was on the O.J. Simpson. I would love to tussle with Mark, but here I am now. I'm fighting with O.J. and Michael's attorney. Look at this. Only on the internet does this happen, Lewis.
In California, we have what they call the eggshell theory. You do not.
Oh, wow, that was weird. I just drank the same time my Piers Morgan version of myself drank.
Somebody is damaged goods, and I will echo the idea that, look, I thought you had a rather soft touch with her, and she still did not seem to be telling you the whole truth. But the fact remains, just because somebody is troubled does not mean you get to accuse them of being a criminal under the law. That isn't, you don't get a free pass just to pile on somebody and accuse them of false things because they have their own issues to begin with.
Right, and Andy, I mean, I think that's the point.
Now they're coming back to me. You're good in the interview, and Piers is like, I got to come back. See? Now we just proved you wrong, Andy. You were wrong, Andy. Tell me I'm right? No,
you might be right. Maybe she is a bit crazy, but that doesn't give anyone the right to make her out to be a convicted, self-admitted, as it turns out in the series. They have her breaking down and saying, I did this.
This is such a clear-cut case. Why isn't she already doing it? Like, I'm starting to not believe her case, but of course, if she wasn't arrested, which out in the UK, it's harder to prove. Let's also be honest about that. Unlike the US, some of that stuff gets put away, correct? Like it's not as public facing out by you guys as it is.
Did you notice? Oh, I just hit the wrong button. Went to, no.
This is the media.
I just went, no.
The both lawyers just, and no one comes back to that point because I feel like they all wanted to stay on the same point there. Hold on, I got to find the point. I'll trim this part. But I wanted to bring that point in of just,
Andy, I mean, I think that's the point, is that, you know, you do breaking down.
I mean, why isn't she already doing it? Like, I'm starting to not believe her case, but of course, if she wasn't arrested, which out in the UK is harder to prove. Let's also be honest about that. Unlike the US, some of that stuff gets put away, correct? Like it's not as public facing out by you guys as it is here in America. Now, so it's a little bit.
But both the attorneys go, which I was hoping they were going to have my back, Lewis, but they didn't. But that is a huge reason why this is such a big question mark, because you can't just go get it like you want. So I think they're using that to get more clicks and make this elongated. But the reality is we can't just go to the UK system and tell us what it is.
Harder to pull those documents out. I find it hard pressed to believe Netflix would put all this in there and do it. Look, let's be honest. Netflix is making so much money. So did you, Piers. People are making money off of this because people are fascinated.
Right.
I don't think Netflix is worrying. I think Netflix is enjoying the fact that we're still talking about it because it means more subscriptions. And look, if Fiona's telling the truth, then by all means, prove it. Like, to me, the burden is now on her to prove this isn't a true story. And by all means, if she does that and says, look, I didn't send these emails, I didn't harass, I didn't assault this woman, I didn't do this to the Prime Minister. If all that comes forward, then I will eat my tail. But I'm kind of waiting for her to prove it at this point.
Well, that's interesting. Let me bring back Jess.
Now she brings in the lawyers, and the lawyers argue it's actually not her burden to prove. It's the Netflix's now, which makes sense. But when I said it, I meant more like, okay, well then have Netflix prove this isn't true is what they're gonna have to do. And in order to do that, she's gonna have to, are there emails? Like, I'm sure Richard has these emails, which they're gonna have to provide. So in a way, yes, of course, I understand legally Netflix is on the hook to prove it, but in doing so, in discovery, she'd have to produce things that are, I think, gonna be hard to not prove, Lewis. You know what I mean? So that's where this thing comes in. The debate continues. I will play some more of this in the live, but I wanted to give you a taste of it. Go over there, give them a good comment, tell them to bring me back. I have fun when I get to poke a little bit more, because no offense to this panel, a lot of smart people, good people, they're all welcome on, but I don't know. I wanted to be a little bit feistier, Lewis. When I go on to Piers Morgan, my goal is to always make the promo. If I don't make a promo, I feel like I failed, because it's my goal, I think, to offer respectful chaos is what I'm calling it, to bring a little bit of heat to the kitchen to make it less, boring, to keep it more fun. And I'm not going to change my opinion or lie, but I'll pivot if I need to go the other way and play devil's advocate. I enjoy it because that's what this show is. It's debate form, and I appreciate that Piers does that. Even though we don't always agree, and I haven't always agreed with him, I've come to really respect the fact that he offers a platform for people with different viewpoints to speak. So I'm honored to be on there. I'm glad I'm already back. The producers said they're going to bring me back. I would love to go on regularly. I will be there if they'll have me, and I hope you guys had fun with it. Head on over to the comments. Tell them to bring me back. Heck, tell them not to bring me back, because all engagement's good engagement. Make sure to support Nerd Report. We're going to talk more with Lewis. We're not done, but I want to make sure I got the main clip over. And if anybody, and I'm talking to you guys live viewers, if anybody has this post I'm trying to find, which Fiona has shut down, let me know, because yes, she came after me, Lewis, and now it's gone. And in the post, she's like, "You're a moron, total moron." Me and my ghetto gear. What was she talking about? Yeah, the notice about the Piers panel is that those two American guys who were ranting and raving were clearly wearing ghetto gear and looked unshaven. And Fiona, I had just come off an airline flight. I was literally setting it up in LAX. I was wearing my hat. Our hats ghetto gear? I had a nice shirt on, Lewis. I don't know what the hell she's talking about. You're calling Officer Tatum ghetto gear? I mean, I not a good look. Maybe that's why she deleted it. I suspect it's because she watched me on Piers just then, heard me mention it, and she deleted herself because she knows she doesn't want to be sued for defamation. So Fiona, if you're watching, I don't want to, trust me, I don't want to deal with you. I got enough on my plate. Come on the show. If you really are telling the truth, you should be screaming it from the rooftops. If you didn't send those emails, if you didn't harass Richard's girlfriend, if you didn't actually get convicted, and you are telling the truth, oh my God, you got the best case ever against Netflix, and I will applaud your win, and I will eat a piece of my hat happily. But I'm sorry, there's a few other things out there that aren't helping your case. And I'm sick of everybody trying to position this and you trying to play like you're a victim, you're in the better, when, well, then how do you justify this? Because they've read the emails. Why are you speaking to people like this? This isn't okay to do. And this is one of many, apparently. Enough is enough. What do you guys think? Is Fiona a victim? Do you think Netflix didn't do enough to hide her, or should they be able to tell the story that Richard Gadd wanted to tell? I want to see in the comments. Chatters, everybody, what do you think? So before we wrap the show, I did find a little bit of the post that's now been removed. The other thing I noticed about the Piers Morgan panel last night is the fact that America guys were ranting and raving. Then they clearly were wearing ghetto gear and looked unshaven and like they had just got out of bed, and I'm supposed to be the mad one. God give me strength. One said I was the most hated woman in the world. The other said I should be in jail. He was a total moron. She continued. Sadly, she deleted this message. It looks like she's deleting a lot of messages. I think she deleted it as soon as she heard me mention it on Pierce, because I had it open and then she deleted it, and it's my fault for not getting the full screenshot. But she went on to call me a moron and more mean things. What's up with the ghetto gear? The girl, not a good look. Probably why she deleted it. But proof she's watching and proof she knows better. Again, proving my point. This woman's not only, I think, crazy, but a complete jerk. And I think a lot of what was said about her is justified. And again, I think she needs to prove otherwise now by taking it to court. That's what I mean. Take it to court. Open up discovery. In that discovery, she's going to have to answer for emails and things that Richard has. That is the reality. And I think she's avoiding that on purpose. She's going to keep threatening and threatening. But I would love to see this actually go to trial. I think she thinks maybe she could settle it, and that's where she thinks it's going to go. But I hope Netflix and Richard Gadd stand their ground and prove it if they have it. I find it incredibly hard to believe someone from Netflix would have gone to Parliament to say she was a convicted stalker if they didn't have some proof. But it also is important to remind everybody it's hard to prove out in the UK that they actually were convicted, because it's not as open as it is here in the US. So what do you all think? Appreciate all you guys that have been watching. Make sure if you haven't already done it, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell for alerts, smash that thumbs up, and leave your comments down below. What did you think of my appearance on Pierce? Head on over there. Tell them you want me to come back. Fiona, if you're watching, hit up Lewis or somebody else. DM me, I guess. You're allowed to come on. I will hear you out. If you're telling the truth, scream it from the rooftops and prove it. Because right now, you're not looking good with the other accusations that are out there. I just got to be honest. And if this is all a lie, well, then I will eat part of my hat, as I said. So come on by, let us know. Thank you guys so much for watching. What do you think? Stay tuned. We're going to redirect you to Nerd Report next. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a wonderful night.